You know you've sold over 1 million copies in Europe on your first video game.
I think I need to have a word with an agent.
She turned round to Robert and she said, "This is the Abbervail horse. This is the horse in my dream."
Oh. I have actually been training the hip, the machine in the gym, the hip extension thing for this purpose, because I'm a bit weak in that area.
Are you?
And I have been told. I'm blushing, I'm getting embarrassed here.
Welcome to Talk Horse.
Our gallop through the highs and lows of the equestrian world.
I'm Pippa Funnell. I've won 3 Olympic medals at Sydney and Athens. I've been eventing for over 40 years now, and I'm an author of 22 children's books. And a long time ago, I also did a series of computer games.
Week on week, you keep adding things to your bio here. I'm Tristan Phipps. I haven't got any medals. Definitely haven't got a video game. I do love nature, animals. I'm very horse curious. You might recognise me from Made in Chelsea, but my background is a safari guide.
Tristan, you will learn from these podcasts. You will be well in the know about all things equestrian. I'll give it probably another 5 months and then you will be an expert.
I mean, I'm already learning a lot. So whether you're a seasoned rider, a horse lover, or just horse curious like me, this is the pod for you.
Saddle up and join our equestrian community and let's talk horse. Tristan.
Pippa.
Good to be back, 3rd week.
Can we just discuss video games for a moment? So you've added video games to the bio this week. Last week, 22 books and a lot of video games. Do you know how many video games you are the face of?
If I'm honest, do you?
I do.
No, I have no idea. And I can't say that I was hugely involved with the actual making of the video games.
So you weren't coding in the background?
I can't even turn on a computer, and I still can't. But it was something I was involved with a long time ago. It was after winning the Rolex Grand Slam. I was approached by the gaming people that obviously...
Ubisoft, I think.
Is that? Oh, Ubisoft, that's right. It's so long
the gaming
ago.
people.
I mean, we're talking over 20 years ago. But I do remember when I tried playing the game, oh my God, it was a disaster. I fell off at every jump.
So you're trying to tell me that you find it easier to professionally ride an actual horse than to play the video game?
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm definitely the opposite.
So you're...
Well, I'm 100% better. I'm definitely not a gamer, but I'm definitely better at gaming than I would be at professional show jumping.
Yeah, no, I need... That's one thing I want to do. Not have a lesson in video games, but I really, really want to learn how to use computers and iPads.
All right, okay, I'll teach you that and then you can teach me how to show jump. Was that a good deal? I'm definitely getting the better end of the deal.
Let's start with you on the flat. I think one of my key messages with horses, don't run before you can walk. So I'm not going to have you jumping yet. If you say you're falling off playing polo.
Okay, again, I'm being humbled again.
Yeah, sorry.
No, it's good. I like it.
I'd be more than happy to help you, fine. But we'll walk before we can run.
Good advice. Did you know how many games there are?
How many?
Take a guess.
Well, I know there's Ranch Rescue and...
I've got them names here as well.
Oh, God, it's so long ago. But actually...
This is really impressive. It's amazing. You got 7 video games.
Well, I feel as though...
Over 4 different
I don't know whether...
softwares and computers. You're on the Wii. That's cool. If I'd be telling everyone, you don't even know how many you've been in. I'm like,
I don't even know what the Wii is. What's the Wii?
Well, exactly. It's the one where you wave the little wand around and you...
Right, okay.
Well, it's a type of video game.
Right.
Yeah.
See,
you know the one where you can play tennis?
I didn't know that.
Okay, I'm gonna tell you the names.
I don't have time for video games in my life.
A lot of people got... You know you've sold over 1 million copies in Europe on your first video game. Okay, I'm going to challenge you now, Pippa. I want to see how many of your games that you actually know the name of. There's 7. And we'll be some sort of prize. You'll have a Talk Horse mug for each one you get right.
Ranch Rescue.
Nice. 1.
Stud Farm Inheritance.
Very good.
Saddle Up. Stirrup.
Oh, okay.
There's something with a stirrup in it. Horseshoe Ride.
The Golden Stirrup Challenge.
So that's half a mug.
Some good data here.
Oh my God, you've done your homework.
I've done my homework. We've got Secrets of the Ranch. Pippa Funnell 4, Secrets of the Ranch. We've got Pippa Funnell on the DS and then Pippa Funnell 2 on the DS, which is a type of gaming thing. And then we've got Take the Reins, Pippa Funnell.
Oh, I remember Take the Reins.
Which was your favourite to play? I mean, that is
Can I
so
just
cool.
say, and I don't want to go on, but it was a long time ago. And what you've got to understand is I've actually probably had a few tumbles and I can't remember. And I've hit my head a few times. So my memory isn't as good now. So,
I mean, I think it's incredible. And, you know, one of those wasn't made that long ago if it was on the Wii. I could actually get that for Christmas for myself.
well, maybe I need to. I think you should, but I think from a point of view of you really learning,
Probably not the best.
you need to read my children's books.
That's probably more my kind of reading level as well.
Yeah, and there are pictures in it.
Okay.
Yeah, illustrations, lovely illustrations. So
I wish I could offer you something.
no, I'm going to watch.
No, please, Pippa, don't.
I am going to watch Made in Chelsea because every young girl I speak to is so excited that obviously
I'm
I'm doing
absolutely
this
sure that's not
podcast
the
with
case.
you, and so I am.
And hopefully you still have the same opinion of me. To be continued.
So Tristan, the week we're recording this, you came to the London International Horse Show,
I did.
and I have to say you did meet some pretty high-profile riders in the equestrian world, show jumpers particularly.
I've never shaken hands with so many Olympians within the space of 2 minutes, or professional, or the best at their game ever. It was ridiculous.
And did you get the vibes how special the show is?
100%. I mean, very much a baptism of fire, but I loved every single minute. I was walking around kind of in awe, just wide eyes, trying to digest everything. And obviously walking around with you was amazing. So I was meeting everyone who was the best at what they do, and, you know, going into all the special places and go, oh, it's Pippa, and people coming up and taking selfies, and it was amazing.
Not Pippa. I think I know I introduced Tristan to some of my girly friends, and I think they were wide-eyed.
I mean, it was.
Now I've embarrassed you.
Yeah, now I'm
haven't
going
I?
red. Woo. Ladies.
No, it was really good. I think it was great that you came, and I think, you know, going forward, I think if you can see some of what goes on in the equestrian world, you know, because you're obviously going to meet people doing this podcast, but I think it's great, and we'll have to get you to a few more of the shows.
Absolutely, I'd love to. And I can see how special those shows are, and the vibe there is amazing. And it was just lovely to connect. I met your husband, which is very important. We had to tick that one off early days.
Very early days, and maybe we might get him one week.
I think he'd be a fantastic guest. I think we have to push that one. But it was a really, really special thing, and to walk around and just to see everything going on, and to meet one of your beautiful horses, Santorini. That was, I mean, to see that emotional connection that you have with your. I mean, it's the first time I've seen you actually with a horse in person. It's beautiful.
So Tristan, we went backstage to the stables, and Tristan, I got Joe Stockdale, who's now riding Santorini. It was his first show, first international show for the horse. He's a young horse, and he was a horse I produced, as I was explaining in it, and it was very special for me to see the horse again. I haven't seen him for a bit, and it was great that you got to stroke him. And actually, I did. I thought, well, actually, you came across not as just a pony patter. You looked like you sort of
a pony patter. I've never heard that
well,
before.
you didn't look nervous the way you looked like.
Well, I had to show off. I had to try and show off in front of you, didn't I?
You look very comfortable, and which I know you're an animal lover, and if you're an animal lover, you know, and horses do pick up those vibes, and so yes, I could tell you weren't a sort of.
I have to say, Pippa, I'm definitely more confident with animals than I am with humans. And I think
I am
across the board, they are much more pleasant to spend time with as well. But it was beautiful, a really special moment there, and I can see that emotional connection. It was amazing, and that was only one of many amazing things that we saw that day. And yeah, it was really special, and I'm still trying to digest everything. I've definitely learned a lot more, and I think week on week we're going to keep on building on that. So obviously now I've attended the London International Horse Show. I believe there are some other very exciting shows out there, the badminton, the Burley.
Well, we obviously, in Britain, we have some key equestrian venues. As you said, badminton, Burley, for the eventing, Hickstead, which hosts the Royal International Horse Show, Royal Windsor, and obviously the London International Horse Show.
Because I need to get on the circuit now. I need to get familiar with it, So obviously I need to know kind of the best shows to attend. And obviously I need to be your guest because, you know, that was a fantastic experience. I'm basically following you around for the next year. So what is the best show for you? What do you have the most fun
Well,
at?
it's difficult because I come from an eventing background, obviously, and I've had many special moments at badminton and Burley. Badminton is I think, behind the Indianapolis, is the second largest spectator sport in the world.
Oh, wow.
So
That's
they
huge.
do get hundreds of thousands of people there. And obviously Burley Horse Trials is another key top-class venue. I do know the Paul Roger, I personally haven't been, but I do know the Paul Roger tent that sits alongside the collecting ring at Burley is a very popular venue.
Okay.
And then they also have great hospitality by the lake at Badminton.
I mean, I can definitely get on board with that. The champagne side of the
So from your
question
point
world.
of view,
Yeah.
yes. That's one thing, probably the one thing that moving on in my career when I sort of do not so much competitive stuff, I'm going to look forward to being able to go into a champagne, into a hospitality tent and actually having a drink. 'Cause
Yeah, I mean, I
normally
don't
I'm
think
competing.
competing in champagne probably don't go too well together.
No.
Or is there a perfect level of Dutch
no,
courage?
I,
You can't drink and drive.
I personally don't.
But that's insinuating that others personally do.
Well,
Those who shan't be
I've been
mentioned.
known to have. I've been known to have a gin and tonic. Of course, I like it, the odd glass, but I think within the equestrian world now, it's so professional.
Yeah.
And to me, you spend so many hours training the horses, and you have so many responsibilities, and it's so close between your sort of rival competitors and things that you can't afford to do it. You know, you've got to be more professional than that now. I think probably going back 20 years ago. Doesn't mean to say we don't all enjoy having a good drink and celebrate when we go well.
For sure. We've got a fantastic guest today, I believe.
We've got someone that is so highly respected in the horse world. I've known her for many, many years. I have huge admiration for what she's achieved, what she does, and most importantly, she really does right by the horse, the way she's produced many horses, and now she's obviously moved on from competing and has a very, very key role as chef to keep.
She has guided a team to some amazing achievements, including a silver medal at the 2022 FEI British
Showjumping World Equestrian Games.
Well, say it again.
The Showjumping World Equestrian Games.
That's a mouthful. And a gold medal at the Paris 2024 Olympics.
That's right. And she also spearheaded 2 more gold medals, individual gold in Rio for Nick Skelton and Ben Mayer in Tokyo.
So really...
So 4 gold she's spearheaded.
So she's a queen of equestrianism. And I'm really, really excited to meet her. She is going to be a fantastic guest. Should we meet her?
Let's talk horse with Di Lampard. Di, thank you so much for coming here and joining us on this podcast. I know we actually go back a very, very long time. I think I've been married for nearly 32 years, but I knew you well before I met William at the High Performance Cell.
Wow, we're turning back the time now, aren't we?
That's crazy for me because I thought you ladies were 35, 40 max. Genuinely.
Well, it's really polite of you to say that, Tris.
I need to get you good books. Di, welcome to Talk Horse. Thank you so much for joining us. My first question is just for the masses, because I am the voice of the horse curious here. Chef de keep. What is that? And how did you become one?
Did you not do French?
Well,
Chef de keep, team, chief of teams.
Well,
Chief.
I'm talking for the voices of the masses. Okay, so
I'm
you're the
leading you
chief.
down the wrong street there. Sorry.
So nothing to do with cooking?
Cheeky. Absolutely not.
Absolutely nothing?
No.
But you are in charge of the team. Is that correct?
Yeah, correct title, performance manager now.
Wow.
You know, we move on, whatever.
And that obviously, you know, is a very hard position to get into. And that's, you know, how do you get there?
Well, good question, actually. It wasn't one of my dreams to be a performance manager, or it was definitely not in the plan as my career went along. You know, we'd set up a really good base at the home training centre with my husband, my late husband, Dietmar. And we were happily sort of making that transition from competition to having pupils, not only national but international pupils, come over all those years ago, and establishing a good training centre and very much enjoying it, and only probably getting into it for about 5-6 years in a serious way before this opportunity came along.
Wow. And I'm really interested in, obviously you've got some amazing accolades and you've achieved so much in the equestrian world, and we'll definitely dive into that later. But what I like to understand, and I've asked Pippa and I've asked all the other guests, is kind of where that passion and love of the equestrian world came from and how you became connected to that world.
Well, I think it was from childhood days. I got an older brother, so I was always outside playing with him, but I loved animals. It was animals, and the outdoor life was my passion.
Can connect with that.
I wasn't very girly at all, not the one to dress up. I was more like probably kicking a football with my brother Tim, and the dogs around the place. My parents were from farming background, so the animals have always been in my life, and horses were just a passion. It was in my blood. However, my parents weren't particularly horsey, but it was my passion. I had this connection with horses everywhere they were, whether we went on holidays, it was the donkeys on the beach,
Oh.
And it led to a riding career. But I had to really want my first pony because my parents instilled in me, if you have a dog or if you have an animal, you've got it for life. 7 days a week, 52 weeks of the year, you've got to get up early, you've got to feed the horse. And I think all those facts have really stuck through me through my life.
I love that, from donkeys on the beach to gold medal at the Olympics. Yeah.
But I do think, what Di said, I was very similar. My first pony, I had to look after it and had the responsibilities. And I think that's something, particularly in this day and age, we have to educate and children need to know the responsibilities they have, because I don't think they will have the careers we've had if they just are bought that pony and that pony's tacked up for them and they don't learn how to look after it and how to assess how the pony's thinking, or is it in
well-being?
Yeah, exactly.
And
it's not. Our whole game isn't just about riding, is it?
No, not at all. Actually, as my life's progressed, I with having staff and people now in management that work for me, I wouldn't ask them to do anything I couldn't do. And right from word go, mucking out the ponies, brushing the ponies, the health of the pony has always been paramount before actually riding it. And, those foundations are instilled in you there. And they're good foundations. And you look at a lot of the top people now, they've come a similar route as well. They've done all the work. They know, they think horse.
Absolutely. It seems to be the commonality is those at the top of their game, or those who are successful in the equestrian world, have lived and breathed this for as long as they can remember. And a lot of people have said, as a child, connecting with animals and horses just kind of seems to be the...
Well, we all start, or 99% of us start as youngsters because we love our four-legged friends, and that's how we get on into it in the first place. But Di, one thing that's always struck me with you, I've always, right from when I was younger, you always looked so stylish on a horse. And I always remember just watching the way you were with them and the way you rode and the way you trained them. And I think that's one of the reasons why you had such huge respect and so many great results when you were jumping yourself. But who taught you in those early days? Because to me, it's so obvious it was so much about the basics and the correct training.
It's really kind of you to say that, coming from somebody like yourself. But when I started off, as I say, I had to really want a pony. So I went to a riding school, believe it or not. But the original riding school was top class. We did all those things years ago without stirrups and riding bareback, and we played polo on the horses.
He's an expert at polo.
Really?
No, not really.
You had a go though.
I've played a few polo games. I did start at the beginning of the year, but the culmination of my career was falling off and breaking a few ribs. So we're getting back on the horse metaphorically and physically soon.
Good
hopefully.
But as you say, riding without stirrups, And I do it still. I make myself do it. And when I train, I make the people I teach do it. Because with horses, so much of it is about your balance as a rider. And you have to work on one's balance, don't you? You really do.
Absolutely, yeah.
And so that, I think, that is something that has really greatly improved within the teams and things. And because
the education
of
nowadays has
getting
been
one's
picked up, hasn't it?
body
Yeah.
and going to the gym
And
and
alignment
yeah.
and strength and conditioning and
you must see that with your team.
absolutely, yeah, absolutely. They're all busy away, off horse as much as they are on horse and training. But going back to the first days, my brother and I, he had the opportunity. He was 3 years older than me, Tim. He had the opportunity at the riding school, but we spent so much time going around in circles on a lunge with arms in the air, arms out, and being more like a vaulter than anything else, in those early days. He soon got fed up of that and went to sort of scooters and motorbikes and whatever else,
That is the direction I also went in somehow, which I regret massively.
Oh, I can put you on a lunge. I can give you some lunge lessons without stirrups when you come
please.
down for your training.
Can I come along?
Well,
Are you
actually,
going into training, Tris?
Absolutely. I think it's time. We're going back to pony school.
I did
to learn.
actually
Ooh.
many years ago.
I'd like to be a fly on the wall.
I have actually been training the hip.
Oh, right.
Where's this going, Pippa?
Well,
No, the machine in the gym, the hip extension thing for this purpose, because I'm a bit
Right.
weak in that area.
Are you?
And I have been told. I'm blushing. I'm getting embarrassed here.
Moving on, chef to keep role has mainly been done by men, and I think you must be. I think one of the first females chef to keeps for the British team. How do you cope with some of the characters? Because they're strong characters, a lot of these riders, and I know for one, you've been Williams ridden under teams for you, my husband, and he's a strong character. How do you deal with all those individual characters with egos, with wanting to win?
Yeah.
Tell us.
Well, yes, there are big egos out there, but I think one thing in my advantage that, going back early days, I was chef to keep for pony teams, and a lot of these riders were on those pony teams, so I've sort of grown up with them or their children on the way. So, and then having competed with them, you get to know them all pretty well. So that's a real advantage. It really is. So when I have a question for them, I've got a pretty good idea of what they're going to say back to me, So I find that a really big advantage. But unfortunately, there aren't too many females riding in the sport at the top at the moment. We seem to have gone on a bit of a dip over the years. We've had some really good, even championship girls. Amanda Derbyshire, Holly Smith have been in and out, dipping in. Laura Rennick's been around. But it is mainly male at the top of the sport, especially at the moment. So I think as long as you position it that it's always their idea and you plant it a little bit and
Good psychology.
I know that. So knows my husband. That is him.
Men are very simple creatures, really, when you break them down.
Absolutely, yeah. So experience is just how you word it. And touch wood, I think I've been lucky so far. You can't please everybody, but that's normal in any position, isn't it?
Yeah, but I wouldn't say it's luck. I mean, what the teams have achieved under your leadership has been remarkable, and particularly this year, because the eventers were fantastic in Paris, but they had the pressure. They went in starting as favourites, and it was a lot of pressure. They delivered, whereas
terrible weather conditions too, wasn't it?
But with your guys, with our show jumping lads, they were. You'd have to say they were slightly the underdogs.
They were prepared to a T, and this is, that I have in our selection policy. It's actually delivering on a given day, and this is the same with qualifying for Nations Cup teams. It isn't the more you win, or it isn't the more you ride, more competitions you compete in. the more successful you are. It's a matter of planning the horses and getting them to peak at the right time. And with a little bit of luck, we peaked in Paris.
You certainly did.
And that was the goal.
You certainly did.
So that kind of leads me on to a question, like how would you identify a champion show jumping horse? Like what would you look for kind of, and what might suit?
It's very difficult because they're unique. And they come in all different shapes, sizes and colours, you know. But having said that, they've got to have the heart to do it. They've got to be winners. They've got to want to do it with you, for you.
Absolutely.
And, you know, the trust, well, I think in general, the trust that horses put at any level in people that handle them is unbelievable. However, you know, when the horses have the ability, they've got to have that other sense in there that they want to go in that ring. They grow when they go in the ring and they want to perform and show that they are the best.
You know, it's Pippa's kind of been educating me as well, kind of the individual character behind each horse. You know, I met Santorini, you know, and he's a little bit horse shy, you know, he loves people, but, you know, really comes into his own when he's in the ring. So it's amazing how much thought and emotional intelligence must go into that selection process as well. And would you say that you'd be able to kind of, from kind of spending time with the horse, understand which discipline that horse might be better suited to, whether it be show jumping or dressage or whatever it might be?
You can do that a little bit in the type of the horse because, you know, for the eventing, yes, they've got more warm blood, you'd say, in them now, Pippa, with the format changing.
Yeah.
However, there still has to be that percentage of blood for the, you know, for the cross country and the endurance, and it's still taxing. I mean, I don't know how you do it. You know, 3 disciplines. Take on 3 disciplines. I struggle with one, the show jumping.
We haven't struggled with one. You really nailed one.
What does she do? What does she do? She goes cross country. She
you
does
two are so
dressage,
self-deprecating for people so well.
Show jumping. But this is another thing, show jumping. For the latter, how many years have I been trying to get you to come to the light side?
So there is a bit of competition between the disciplines.
No,
competition.
I mean, Di keeps on saying that I should stop eventing and go show jumping. I'm
Come to the jumping side.
No, you're not.
Why did you choose show jumping then? What was your reason for choosing that discipline?
Yeah, why did you? Because the way you ride, you could have been absolutely a top event rider. I think probably a top dressage rider, but I think.
Oh, I don't know.
I think.
Hey, steady on.
Okay, top event rider.
I started off showing ponies. That was when I progressed from the riding school. I went showing ponies, and many years of sitting in a ring. You stand in a row probably with 20 ponies, and you're sitting out in what we used to have lovely bright summers, and you're sitting in there and you're dropping off asleep waiting for your turn to go out and do your little showpiece in front of the judge. And over the other side of the showground there was a lot of cheering and hullabaloo over at the main ring or at the jumping ring. So I thought, I'm going to go and find out what's happening over there. They're having a wonderful time. This is as boring. It's like, you know. So as soon as I got out of the ring that day, and because they take your coat off, they hang it up, and everything has to be just hanging in and doing. As soon as I ripped everything off, got my clothes on, ran across to the other ring. I think I was about 14, and abandoned the family and everybody, and pushed through the crowds because there were like 3 deep, 4 deep. And I was at a little show in Lincolnshire, Market Deeping show, and pushed through and looked, and there was show jumping, and they were all clapping and hollowing, and then there was a jump off, and that was exciting. So I thought, that's what I want to do.
Wow. And it's
Definitely.
very much paid off.
It's paid off, and, it's quite funny, really, because I think I was 13, 14 at the time, and the only pony that they had on the premises that jumped was a rather large 14-2 pony that had previously done lots of showing, and he was about he must have been about 14 when I took him on, and he knew everything. He'd forgotten more than ever I started to think about, and I had some tumbles off him, my goodness, but I just... Mum and Dad kept saying, you kept getting up and getting back on him, and, But I think it gives you that resilience, and I had that one pony, and he was nearly 15 hands, and big grey pony called Royal Metal, and he taught me so much. he taught me so much. If I rode him properly, he'd jump and he would win with me, you know, in the working hunters. But if I didn't, he'd drop me in the collecting ring. And
It's that respect, isn't it? That kind of mutual
And
understanding.
the Abbervail Dream, from your competitive days, I mean, he probably was the most special of your horses. Was he, or would you have?
Well,
would have been. Which one would have been your favourite horses?
Well, Abbervail Dream was the most successful. That dream in his name has come in many ways. I mean, he made all my dreams come true when I wanted to show jump, and you know, you look up at the top guys performing and what they're doing and where you want to be. And, you know, he took me to the World Championships, and what he did en route to that was unbelievable. You know, he won so much. And again, I was so fortunate how I came about him. He came into our yard through a couple, Robert and Dina Verbort, that were really good friends of my late husband, Dietmar. Robert, many years ago as a youngster, came to Dietmar for lessons. He was an event rider and came to Dietmar for lessons, and they kept friends over the years. And long story short, you know, we used to go out together. They used to live in the south of England at the time, and they had a place in Ireland. And this Irish horse, he rang me one day, and I was expecting Henry at the time, and he's rang me and he said, Di, when you get back in the saddle, he said, I'm going to bring a horse up for you to start to ride, and I want you to tell me how good it is. And I said, was that horse that you rang me about a while ago from Ireland? And he said, yes, it was 3 years old then. And I asked you that if you thought I was crazy buying a 3-year-old that was really head shy, was the last one in the field of about 33-year-olds that all the professionals had been through Noel Corley's yard, and he was the one that was left behind. But
A lot of people kicking themselves now.
yeah, you know, that horse, the name Dream was because Robert's wife, Dina, had a dream about owning an Olympic horse, actually, and a really top horse. And they'd searched, they'd travelled Europe looking for a horse, and they actually stumbled over this horse in Ireland. When they got out the car in a winter's evening and looked over the stable before Noel came out of the house, she turned round to Robert and she said, this is the Abbervail horse. This is the horse in my dream.
Wow.
Meant to be.
And
amazing.
do you know what? They had him out, put him over a lunch, and I can remember Robert ringing me and saying, you must think I'm crazy. I said, well, how much do they want for the horse? I don't know, I think he said something like £2,000 or something like this. I said, well, you're not going to lose a lot, are you, Robert?
Wow.
And that was Abbervail
And the
Dream.
rest is history.
He came for 2 weeks, and he was there. He retired at home in Spring Farm, and Spring Farm was his home.
What a lovely story.
But yeah, a wonderful story, and that just shows. Yes, he was an amazing horse, but it actually shows Di produced that horse from a young horse.
That
And
is
so-
very
Well-
special.
And that is, it can be done. So people listening out there, you know, we talk about the prices these horses go for, the horses that are up at the top of their game, but actually there are many of us that had to produce horses from young horses. And
I think you guys are the reason those horses go for that kind of money
well,
eventually at some point.
and that's what, when we talk about horsemanship, when
Yeah.
you're dealing with young horses, you have to learn to be
It's
horsemen.
fascinating.
Don't you?
Yeah, and
Or horsewomen.
only being sort of having all those attributes, and you can see through all this, and you know if you've got patience and time, because you can't rush anything with horses.
Yeah, I'm learning that.
Yeah.
Now it kind of brings me on to another question I want to ask you, and obviously as chef to keep for the British Showjumping team, kind of obviously that story of kind of Abbervail and how you've got there is amazing, but how do you select riders and horses for that British Showjumping team now at this stage at that top level? That
It's on
process?
performance. It's on performance, but it's, you know, I spend a lot of time with the riders, even looking at the younger riders coming through, and like we've been here at London this week, looking at the under 25s, and at the weekend we've got the under 16s class. I've got good people in places there looking, feeding back to me. However, it's about those riders that have got time, that are turned out well with the horses, that produce them nicely, that bring them through. They're not jumping every week and running up and down the country or around Europe for competitions. They're producing the horse on the given day. And you look at the trends and you look at the improvement, how they're bringing the horses on and what they're doing. And that's how we select them right through to the top riders today. It's on performance.
So from grassroots all the way up to the top?
Absolutely. For me, it isn't about the amount they win, it's what they win and
how they do it.
Yeah, how they win it.
Amazing. So you're kind of, even from the London International Horse Show, would you have kind of, had eyes on maybe some of the younger riders who you would then kind of
most definitely
keep track of moving forward?
100%, yeah.
And then is there any way you can kind of help cultivate that, or would you put them in touch with certain
we speak to them. Some of them come and introduce themselves. Very few do, actually. I think they're a little bit shy. I think that coaches have to come up and make that intro. But I'm not going to bite them off. In fact, I think I must be one of the most approachable people.
Yeah, definitely.
I seem to have so many calls and non-stop all the time with it. However, I think people think I'm, I don't know, the big one there that
you are
they
the big
hide
boss.
away, and I'm going to bite them, but I'm not going to bite them. But I just want to help people. I want to see riders successful. I want to see the youth coming through, and I love to follow a horse's career.
Amazing.
Di, several times in the conversation we've been having, you've mentioned Dietmar, and I know you've really had a tough time the last year. Obviously, he lost his battle back in November, and he was such a key part of your life. I'm sure the team and the focus on teams and the job has helped you going, but you've proved that you have been able to cope with the situation, and just tell us a little bit, because I know he was a huge part of your career. Absolutely.
35 years ago, when I moved to Rutland and set up with Dietmar, he was such a supporter. He'd sort of finished his competition career as well, and wanted to carry on producing horses. And he was my biggest backer and supporter. But I thought I could ride and produce horses. I learnt so much more from Dietmar. When he rode the horses and worked them through properly, they were so soft. They were just balanced. They were off the leg. It was just unbelievable, the connection that he had with horses as well. And, obviously he was from Germany and went through all of his training medals, coaching medals and all that many years ago. And even to the point was my introduction with Abbervail Dream, and the credit for Abbervail Dream is all behind the scenes. Dietmar rode him majority of the while. And even when we went to the World Championships in Rome in 98, the day off, Dietmar rode him. And then we went off to the Colosseum. It was, his connection was fantastic. And Paris, he was behind it because I've been in the sport so long, and we were going for that gold medal. Dietmar was there for that gold medal as much as any of us. And I don't know whether you heard the story. Everybody talks of Scott's wonderful round of finishing it off, but Harry's round sticks out to me because Ben opened up fantastic. I mean, I would have nobody go out first other than Ben if I had a choice of riders throughout the world. But Harry had a little bit of luck through the combination, and the back bar of the B element just bounced. And Dietmar's hand was there to put that back. And that was fantastic. It was all set up then. And he was with me all the way, because after Paris, I was going to retire. We were going to do
And he's there now saying, no, you're bloody not.
Absolutely. You know, home's a little bit empty, but he's always been behind me, and the highs and the lows, he's been there, and we've
And of course
we've done it together.
You've got Henry, your son.
Yeah, and you know, Henry's very much turned into a Dietmar more the last 12 months than ever, because he's holding fort, and I'm looking forward to seeing him down here at the weekend. And we met up in Paris, and although Henry wasn't with me after the competition and we met up, we both embraced each other, and we both said at the same time, it was Dad that held that pole back in those cups for Harry.
Thank you, Dietmar.
Yeah.
You know, it's great to be able to talk about,
Yeah.
you know, what he did for your career, and
Absolutely.
and how you've shown a lot of strength, and you will continue to. And above all, it's just wonderful to have people like yourself, because of the passion you have for the horses. And this is what the Talk Horse to me is about, is getting across what these incredible horses mean to us, but also I really like to think they bring out the best in an awful lot of us, and the majority of people. And I know we've spoken about it, and there's a very small minority, but the majority, I really think it brings out the best in them, and
Absolutely.
we are passionate.
Yeah. I mean, the horses are looked after so well today, those horses. Trish, you went round the stables yesterday. I mean, they're all pristine, polished. They've got the best clothes on, and they want for nothing. I think
they are the heroes. Yeah.
Yeah, they're heroes. I think if all of us had people going round after us and serving our meals and cleaning our houses, and
Well, if more people had that dedication,
great,
for
wouldn't
something, I think the whole world would be a better place if more people had that emotional intelligence with an animal, or that connection.
Yeah.
That's right.
Just before we finish off, Di, I just want to ask a question, you know, for any aspiring riders out there, people who are hoping to kind of, you know, achieve what, you know, a small portion of what you achieved in your career. You know, has there been any advice or a mantra that you've lived by throughout your career that you can share with us that will encourage people to kind of follow in your footsteps?
Look, listen and learn. I think you can learn so much by just watching and asking. There are people out there that are open with their advice. You know, follow the good people in the sport, and I think you need to keep all your skills to yourself and let them show in the ring. But I think just by looking and learning and listening, it can take you a long, long way.
Amazing. That's very similar to what you said in the first episode, Pippa. You said you never stop learning as a rider.
Never.
It's good advice. I'll write that one down.
I'm sure I'll learn something this afternoon.
Every day's a school day.
Yes.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing your stories with us, Di.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
That was so fascinating. And what's special, I think, about this podcast is I've known Di for years and years, but actually I didn't know about her background. I never knew exactly how she got into show jumping. So it's something so fascinating to just hear a little bit more depth about these individual people that we're having on the show.
Absolutely. We've been spoilt rotten so far with our guests. I mean, she's such a lovely woman and so, you know, amazing at what she does, clearly, with so many accolades, but so humble and such an amazing storyteller. And it really was really lovely to connect with her, I have to say.
And if you see her with the horses, you actually can understand. I mean, you can hear it from the way she speaks about them, but that's how I imagine Di. You know, when I've seen her dealing with the horses, she's such a sympathetic person and just so genuine and honest. And yeah, it was great listening to her.
Yeah, fantastic guest.
So if you've enjoyed Talk Horse, why don't you subscribe and watch following weeks? We've got all sorts of guests coming from all areas of the equestrian world. So tune in and follow.
And we definitely want to hear from you. We are available in all the usual places: TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and we'd love to hear your personal stories, anecdotes, or any questions you have on our email.
Bye for now.